Long ago, in the great river kingdom of Okuto, there lived a man named Obajeri. He was not a king by crown, but by wealth and influence. His trading ships brought spices from far lands, his cattle roamed the green plains, and his name carried weight in every market square. Men bowed when he passed, and women whispered of his handsome face and his fine robes. But behind all this splendor, Obajeri carried a wound in his heart. He longed for children, sons and daughters who would bear his name into the future. For many seasons, his wife Ifina, a woman gentle as the evening rain, lived with him in patience and love. She cooked his meals, sang him songs, and nursed him whenever fever laid him low. Yet when moons passed, and no child's cry filled their compound, Obajeri's heart grew restless. Instead of questioning himself, he turned his eyes toward Ifina. Whispers from his mother and friends fanned the fire of doubt. Perhaps the woman is barren, they said. What use is a calabash that holds no water? And so, in a moment of pride and anger, Obajeri cast Ifina out of his home. She wept that night, clutching his feet, but he did not bend. He said she was cursed, unworthy, a broken god that could never hold seed. She left with nothing but her dignity, walking into the night like a shadow fading into the forest. Obajeri wasted no time. He sought out another bride, Adon, a woman of beauty and charm, known across Okuto for her laughter and style. Adon's gowns came from distant lands, sewn with lace that cost more than a farmer's harvest. She danced gracefully, and her friends adored her. To the people, she and Obajeri seemed like a pair destined for greatness. The drums of wedding preparations began to beat. Gold chairs were ordered, roses carried from the mountains, chandeliers hung like moons in the hall. Minstrels rehearsed songs, and dancers polished their steps. The whole kingdom awaited the day, for Obajeri had declared, "This wedding shall shake the earth. Let all who doubted me see my glory. Even my former wife, Ifina, shall sit in the front row and watch me ascend into joy." The wedding planner had raised her brow. "Your ex-wife. Why would you invite her?" But Obajeri only smiled with pride. "Send her the invitation. First class. Let her see what she lost." Meanwhile, Ifina lived quietly in another part of the kingdom. She had endured sorrow, yet the gods had not abandoned her. Not long after leaving Obajeri, she met a kind man named Enitan, who treated her with tenderness. To her astonishment and joy, the gods blessed her womb, not once, but thrice. She gave birth to triplet sons, each strong and healthy, each a living testimony that she was never barren. Her friend Amelie often helped her care for the boys. Their laughter filled her compound, their little feet pattered on the clay floors, and their cries rose like music in the dawn. Ifina's pain slowly healed, for motherhood had crowned her with dignity. So when the golden envelope arrived, an invitation from Obajeri to his grand wedding, Amelie fumed. "What kind of insult is this? After all he did to you, he dares invite you to watch him wed another. He must be mad." But Ifina only smiled softly, holding one of her babies close. Her eyes were calm, her spirit steady. "It is well," she said. "Let him marry. I have no quarrel." Amelie crossed her arms. "You're not going, right? We will burn this invitation and forget it." Ifina looked down at her sons, their little breaths even in sleep. She did not answer immediately. Then she said with quiet strength, "What if we show him the truth? What if we let the whole kingdom see that I was never the broken one?" Amelie gasped. "Are you saying you'll attend, with the boys?" Ifina nodded. Amelie laughed in disbelief. That man will faint. You, my sister, are about to turn his pride into ashes." From that day, preparations began, not for war, not for bitterness, but for truth. Ifina brought out a gown she had kept for a special day, a flowing robe of sunrise yellow, stitched with care by Amelie's own hands. Amelie polished her makeup kit and swore, "You will not look loud, my sister. You will look peaceful yet powerful. You will walk in like God's own sunrise." The boys were given matching outfits, white shirts tucked into yellow shorts, with small bow ties that made them look like princes. Amelie borrowed a friend's car, a black stallion chariot with wheels that glistened like night. They rehearsed how the children would hold their mother's hands, walking proudly by her side. On the eve of the wedding, Ifina sat by her window gazing at the stars. Enitan came and laid a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to go if it weighs on your spirit," he said softly. But Ifina shook her head. "I must go. Not to fight, not to shame him, but to remind myself, and the world, that I survived, and I am whole." Enitan kissed her forehead. "Then go, my love. And know that I stand with you." The wedding morning arrived. Okuto buzzed like a hive of bees. Social drums beat across the land, and singers praised Obajeri and Adon as if they were royalty. Guests in glittering fabrics filled the giant hall near the riverfront. Politicians, chiefs, and traders sat at the front, while drummers tested their drums and camera lenses flashed. Adon, the bride, sat in her chamber dressed in a gown white as sea foam, jewels glittering on her neck. Her friend whispered, "You look like a goddess. Obajeri will fall in love all over again." Adon smiled, but in her heart, unease gnawed at her. She had been trying for months to conceive, but every test had come back empty. Her mother's warning echoed in her mind, "Are you sure it is not the man with the problem?" But she dared not speak it aloud, for Obajeri's pride was a fire no one could touch. At the altar, Obajeri stood in his white agbada stitched with gold. He looked around impatiently, his heart not resting. He scanned the guest list and lingered on one name, Ifina. He had summoned her to witness his glory, yet a small shadow of doubt lurked in his chest. Memories of her kindness, her tears, her songs, they stirred like restless spirits he tried to silence. Then the moment came. Outside, the black chariot rode up. Its door opened slowly. Ifina stepped out. The hall fell into stunned silence. She glowed like the morning sun, wrapped in her yellow gown, her head held high, her steps calm. And beside her walked 3 little boys, dressed like angels, their tiny hands clasped around hers. Gasps spread through the hall. Fans froze midair. Murmurs roared like thunder. Is that not Ifina, the ex-wife? She has children. 3 of them. Triplets. Phones flashed, voices rose. All eyes turned to Obajeri. His chest tightened. His knees weakened. Ifina, he whispered, though she was far away. She walked down the aisle, unhurried, every step heavy with grace. When her eyes met his, she did not flinch. She smiled softly, a smile that carried truth without bitterness. The crowd parted, making way for her until she reached the front row, the very seat Obajeri had reserved for her mockery. She sat down gently, her sons curling into her lap. The whispers would not stop. She was never barren, then whose fault was it? Adon entered at that moment, her veil covering her face. She noticed the silence, the strange mood. When she reached the altar, she leaned toward Obajeri. What is happening? Who is that woman with those children? Obajeri swallowed hard. His lips trembled. That is Ifina. Adon's eyes narrowed. Your ex-wife. And those children. He said nothing. His silence was louder than thunder. Adon's voice sharpened. You told me she was barren. You swore she could not give you children. The hall erupted in murmurs. Guests turned, eager to hear. Even the drummers dropped their sticks. Ifina rose calmly, lifted one of her sons in her arms, and spoke for all to hear. These are my sons. Obajeri called me barren, cast me out, and made me believe I was cursed. But the gods have shown the truth. I was never the broken one. The hall shook with gasps. Some covered their mouths, others shook their heads in disbelief. Adon stepped back, fury and heart flashing in her eyes. So you lied to me, Jerry. You ruined her, disgraced her, and built our marriage on falsehood. I will not bind myself to such pride. She dropped her bouquet at the altar and walked out. Her bridesmaids rushed after her, leaving Obajeri trembling before the eyes of the kingdom. Ifina, meanwhile, gathered her sons and rose. She did not shout. She did not gloat. She walked out as she had walked in, like a queen carrying the sunrise. The wedding hall of Okuto, once bright with music and laughter, had grown cold and heavy. Guests whispered like restless leaves. Some shook their heads, others murmured prayers under their breath. At the altar, Obajiri stood frozen, his once proud Agboda hanging on him like a burden. His best friend, Konu, leaned close. "Brother, are you breathing? This is not the scene you planned." But Obajiri did not answer. His eyes were locked on Ifina, who was leaving the hall with her 3 sons like a sunrise slowly fading beyond the horizon. The drums were silent. The food was untouched. The drinks stood cold in their calabashes. Even the birds outside seemed to hush. When Adon stormed out, the people gasped louder. "The bride has left. The gods have turned their backs on him," one woman whispered. Others nodded, fanning themselves nervously. Obajiri slumped on the altar steps, burying his face in his hands. Konu sat beside him, shaking his head. "You invited her to shame her, but truth came wearing a crown. Now the whole kingdom has seen who was truly at fault." That evening, while the city buzzed with gossip, Ifina returned to her compound. Emily ran to her, eyes wide with excitement. "Sister, the whole land is talking. They say you walked in like a lioness with her cubs. They say you silenced pride with grace. Ifina, you are the story of the year." Ifina only smiled faintly as she tucked her sons into bed. "I did not go for applause," she said quietly. "I went so that truth would breathe." Far across town, Obajiri sat alone in his grand compound. His golden chairs mocked him with their emptiness. His mother, Aya Monarchy, entered slowly, her face lined with sorrow. "Jerry," she whispered, "you have brought shame to our household. You listened to my voice when I told you Ifina was barren. You sent her away. And now the gods have uncovered our folly before all." Obajiri looked at her with hollow eyes. "Mama, I thought I was right. I thought she was the broken one." His mother sighed deeply. "Pride has no ears. It does not listen even when truth knocks at its gate." He bowed his head. For the first time, Obajiri felt the full weight of his arrogance. The days that followed were worse. In the markets, people whispered when he passed. Children sang mocking songs. Obajiri, the man of pride, called his wife Barren, but the truth he could not hide. On the talking drums, his disgrace became a rhythm. Traders no longer trusted his name. Partners withdrew their hands. Even his guards stopped greeting him with the same respect. Meanwhile, Ifina's life blossomed like a well-watered garden. She opened a small restaurant by the roadside, serving hot pepper soup and pounded yam. Customers filled her benches daily, drawn not only by her food but by the peace that seemed to follow her. Enitan supported her with joy, and Amelie remained by her side. Her sons grew strong and lively, racing each other through the compound, their laughter echoing like bells. They knew little of the storm that had once circled their mother. To them, she was simply Mama, their queen of sunrise. One moonlit night, there came a knock at Ifina's gate. Amelie opened the door and froze. It was Obajiri. His once proud posture was gone. His clothes hung loose, his eyes were red, and his cap trembled in his hands. "Ifina," he said softly when she stepped out, her children peeking curiously from behind her gown. Amelie bristled. "What do you want here? Have you not shamed her enough?" But Ifina lifted her hand. "Let him speak." Obajiri's voice broke as he knelt on the ground. "I ruined everything. I judged you without mercy. I let my pride blind me. I called you barren, cursed, worthless. Yet you were the one carrying blessing all along. Forgive me, Ifina. Even if you never take me back, forgive me." Ifina looked at him calmly, the way a mother looks at a stubborn child. "You did not only shame me, Jerry. You crushed me. You made me feel like dust under your sandals. But I survived. And the gods gave me beauty for ashes." He wept openly. "I went to the healers. I have been tested. The truth is bitter, it was I all along. My seed is weak, my body unfruitful. The blame I poured on you was mine to carry. For a long moment, silence hung heavy. Then Ifina spoke. I do not hate you. I have healed. I have found peace. And yes, I forgive you. But forgiveness is not a door back into my life. I walk another path now. Obajeri bowed his head, tears staining the dust. He rose slowly and left, shoulders bent, spirit broken. The news spread swiftly. People whispered, Obajeri was the barren one all along. He cast away a fertile wife, and now he walks alone. Some mocked, some pitied, but all agreed the gods had repaid pride with disgrace. His mother wept in private, regretting the role she had played. We destroyed something pure, she confessed. And the gods showed us our folly before the whole world. Obajeri became a shadow of himself. He no longer walked with pride through the markets. He no longer laughed with friends. His business crumbled, his wealth slipped away, and his compound echoed with emptiness. At night he sat before the mirror, whispering, what did my pride gain me? Nothing but ashes. But in Ifina's home, joy grew like yam vines in the rainy season. One evening, as she stirred okra soup, Enitan repaired a leaky tap nearby. My love, he teased, you have arranged this kitchen like a healer's hut, every spice in its place. She laughed, shaking her head. Order brings peace, my husband. Her boys stumbled into the kitchen, their shirts messy from play. Mama, one asked, when we grow big, will we also be famous like you? Ifina chuckled. Who told you I am famous? Everyone on the street shouts your name, the second boy said proudly. She knelt and held them close. Fame is nothing, my sons. What matters is knowing your worth. One day, I will tell you the full story. You will know how truth walks slowly but never loses its way. Enitan nodded. And you will know how strong your mother is. Seasons passed, and life moved on. The tale of Obajeri's wedding that never was became a story told around fireside and in market stalls. Minstrel son of the woman of sunrise, who walked into a hall with dignity and walked out with victory. Children learned the song, and mothers repeated the lesson. Do not let pride blind your eyes. For truth waits like dawn beyond the night. Obajeri remained in his compound, lonely and forgotten. Letters arrived from traders cutting ties, from allies turning their backs. Even at dawn, his former bride, sent a message from the city. Do not call me. Find peace, if you can. Learn from your downfall. He kept her letter folded in his robe, a reminder of the crown he had thrown into the mud. One day, he wrote a letter of his own to Ifina. It was short, written with trembling hand. Thank you for your strength. Thank you for your forgiveness. You taught me a lesson I will never forget. I lost a good woman, and I hope your sons will know how proud they should be of you. I wish you peace. Jerry. When Ifina read it, she did not cry. She did not smile. She simply placed it in her drawer and continued stirring her soup. She had moved beyond anger, beyond sorrow. She was free. And so the story ended where it began, with a man's pride and a woman's truth. Obajeri, once mighty, learned that wealth and power mean nothing without humility. And Ifina, once cast aside, became a living testament that what men call barren, the gods can turn into overflowing harvest. The elders of Okuto now tell this tale by the fire. When pride builds a house, it is the wind of truth that will tear it down. But when patience builds a home, even storms cannot shake it. Let every ear hear and learn, blame not the innocent, for the gods see all. And so ends our tale, carried by the winds of time. Remember, my friends, the moon never hides from the night, just as truth never hides from the world. Pride may blind the eyes, but patience and dignity light the path. This is African Moon, where stories live forever beneath the stars. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, so you never miss another story. And if you would like to hear part 2 of this tale, type part 2 in the comments below. Your voice keeps the fire burning. Until we meet again, may your nights be peaceful, and your heart as bright as the African moon.